Imagine that you are walking across a great plain an epoch ago. Where you stand today would be the bottom of the North Sea, but there is only a sea of lush grass to be found. You can hear the faint marching of hoofbeats in the distance, and then you see it. A magnificent specimen of his species with thick, shaggy fur and long, curved tusks, he is, unmistakably, a mammoth, among the most magnificent animals ever to live. Imagine you are walking through a field in a time nearly unrecognizable to ours, yet scarcely a century away from where we stand. You are deafened by a million chirps, and the sun is eclipsed by a million wings. You glimpse upon the impossibly large flocks of the passenger pigeon, a beautiful and innocent bird, the most impressive of their kind. Of course, all of these animals, like countless others, no longer walk among men today. Some, like the mammoth, were done in by a changing, warming planet, the last of them dying off as the pyramids were raised in the cradle of civilization. Others, like the passenger pigeon, were killed by the avarice of man, taken as trophies of the conquest of nature. They are forever lost to us as relics of a bygone age to which we cannot return. Others are testaments to a less civilized age, with which we are still grappling with today. These magnificent creatures are lost to the sands of time, dead, or are they? De-extinction can be defined as the ecological replacement of an extinct species by means of purposefully adapting a living organism to serve the ecological function of the extinct species. Essentially, a previously extinct species is brought back to serve its role in the ecosystem, often called a niche. As with most things in science, there is a lot of disagreement in terminology. For the purposes of this presentation, species is defined as a group of living organisms consisting of small, similar individuals capable of exchanging genes or interbreeding. Extinction is defined as the status of a species having no known living individuals. There also exists a large moralistic debate surrounding de-extinction, with some saying that it is part of humankind's mission to atone for its past sins against nature, while others believe that mankind has interfered enough in nature, and that reintroducing extinct species may have unintended consequences on the ecosystem in the present day. These arguments are important and valid. The wider ethical debate is, unfortunately, beyond the scope of this presentation. In present times, there are currently three ways by which an extinct species may be brought back: backbreeding, cloning, and genetic engineering. These processes each involve the bringing back of certain traits called phenotypes to create the desired animal. Backbreeding is a process by which phenotypes are bred into an existing population of animals. An example of this is with the ongoing attempt to revive the aurochs, an ancestor of modern-day cattle. The aurochs displayed phenotypes such as forward curved horns as opposed to the splayed horns of today's cows, a higher shoulder height in bulls and cows, and being less docile compared to that of modern cattle. Starting in the 1920s, the brothers Lutz and Heinz Heck collected certain breeds of cattle that exhibited the previously mentioned phenotypes and were bred together in controlled environments in Munich and Berlin. Their program has resulted in Heck cattle, which have been noted as being more aggressive than other breeds of cattle and sharing some of the coloration of the aurochs. Critics have pointed out that the Heck cattle are not considered a revival of aurochs due to some missing morphological features. For example, the horns point upwards instead of forwards, and they have a flat snout and smaller stature. Others have pointed out how some breeds bear just as close of a resemblance to aurochs. In 2005, aurochs became the subject of Project Tauros, an offshoot of the larger Rewilding Europe. The goal of this organization is to return Europe to the Ice Age ecosystem, of which aurochs played a vital role. Tauros presently uses the breeds Limia, Maramana, Primitiva, Maranosia, Podolica, Sayagueza, and Bajuna as candidates for de-extinction. This and other projects have so far isolated 300 genes, which have been described as being key to bringing back the aurochs from phenotypic purgatory. Another method by which an extinct species may be brought back is via cloning. Cloning is the process by which an exact genetic replica is created artificially. The first successfully cloned animal is the famous sheep Dolly. However, cloning has been used to de-extinct the bucardo, a type of ibex that lived in Spain. French and Spanish scientists in 1999 were able to capture and take samples of DNA from the last remaining bucarda, named Celia. Tragically, researchers found Celia crushed beneath a giant tree, rendering the bucardo extinct. Celia's DNA was transferred into 57 goats or ibex goat hybrids, only 7 of which became pregnant and only 1 of which gave birth. This clone was born with a lung deformity that died moments after her birth. For 10 minutes on July 30th, 2003, the bucardo had walked the earth again, brought back from the dead. It is a tragic tale, and until the science of de-extinction by cloning is perfected, will continue. The process by which Celia's daughter was a process that was relatively simple to do, but is difficult to do successfully. The process of cloning, also called somatic cell nuclear transfer, or SCNT, involves taking a genome, a complete set of genes, making certain mutations that will result in traits shared by the desired animal, injecting this genome into the nucleus of a similar animal, the goats or the goat hybrids, for instance, and breeding the resulting offspring together to create a genetically identical or near identical replica of the desired animal. It should be noted that the technology is not available for egg-laying animals like birds and reptiles. Genetic engineering involves extracting DNA from extinct species that died so long ago that a full genome cannot be extracted, but not so long ago that the DNA has degraded to the point of uselessness. There are many factors that can influence this, such as temperature of preservation and soil pH, but a general rule is that the older something is, the harder it will be to rebuild a complete genome. With very ancient creatures, such as dinosaurs, revival proves impossible at this moment. Once the genome is assembled, scientists will then compare with extant relatives in the modern day and find genes which result in divergence. The number of these divergent genes may lie in the thousands. Genetic engineering is possible for animals like the previously mentioned mammoth and passenger pigeon, who can be contrasted with the Asian elephant and rock pigeon, respectively. With other extinct species like the moa, which have no living relatives, it remains difficult to find an accurate genome. Using the process known as CRISPR, the chosen genes are transplanted into the DNA sequence, which is then injected into the cells via SCNT of a surrogate mother. These methods, though in the very early stages, are touted by de-extinction advocates as the most practical method for de-extinction. Are there any questions regarding de-extinction or its processes? Any questions regarding anything else? Do not hesitate to leave a comment. We are going to have a discussion in the comments about the ethics and applications of de-extinction. I would like for you to choose whether or not you are for or against de-extinction and think of a case to make for your position. Here are some prompts if you need it. The source for this presentation was Beth Shapiro's article, Pathways to De-Extinction. I presented its information in a very straightforward way that really got me into the specific processes for de-extinction. Another helpful source was Ben Novak's De-Extinction, which has a greater emphasis on definitions and is very formal, which is to say lengthy. The source got me the most interested in this topic was Carl Zimmer's Bringing Them Back to Life, which is a very well-written narrative surrounding de-extinction. Another excellent source on this topic was the Project Tauros page made by Rewilding Europe. Rewilding Europe is a team trying to rebuild the pre-human ecosystem of Europe. I would highly recommend checking them out if you are interested in ecology or environmentalism. I will leave a link in the description of this video to all sources used so that you can find links to said sources within that document. I think that the techniques surrounding GD extinction should definitely be used in other areas of conservation to help preserve the wonderful species we have on this earth, as well as bringing back the ones we have lost. Thank you so much for your time today.